And then now, you mentioned earlier that from the very first page to people.
Yeah, sure. So can I see
page 1?
Yeah, so let's see, there's the first page. So you see the narrator says up top, this is how an idea becomes real. And Alana's saying, am I shitting? It feels like I'm shitting. So I always knew I wanted to open the story this way. I have 2 keys now, and I won't say whether or not I heard that wrong. But as it was happening, I was like, this is a really profound, magical moment. Because she's right, and I realized that this is the act of creation. Is sort of a, whenever I come up with an idea, it is like, am I shitting or is that a baby? And it's like, I got a story about a guy and a monkey and women with one breast, and I think I just shat myself. It's a baby. And, so this is kind of what Saga is all about. I guess it's about why do we bring new things into the world when sometimes the world doesn't necessarily want new things. And so, yeah, that's Saga.
Fiona, are you coloring that?
Yeah, I'm doing full color art.
Excellent.
Not only is coloring, and so she does everything essentially, the equivalent of penciling and coloring, but she's also, the story is being narrated by Marco and Alana's baby from some time in the future, and I asked if Fiona would do the lettering herself. I mean, Stephen Finch is a great letterer, he's handling all of our dialogue, but I really wanted to do something different with narration, and sort of something like all these kids' books I've been forced to read. And so sort of have the text playfully interact with the images. So yeah, Fiona's really doing everything.
I thought the narration would be cool if it were less legible.
Yeah, I wanted it to look, sort of, childlike, and it's, you do a beautiful job. Most artists hate to letter. It's so interesting, I'm like, please, but Fiona really jumped at the opportunity. So, yes, this is just the first page, but I think hopefully indicative of what will come.
And Steven's great. Because Steven's actually Stephen Finch, kind of his trade name is Phonographics, and he did all the design for our pop-down anthologies, and he did the lettering and design for The Strange Talent of Lucas Road, and he's doing a bunch of books for us now, actually, but he has really done some magnificent work.
And designed our logo as well, which I just love. It just so this understated, sort of lowercase letter titles that it's very classic.
Yeah, Steven's really brought a lot to the book. I love his lettering, I love his sound effects. I think they work just seamlessly with the artwork, and he designed the whole package. So.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's basically it's the 4 of us, and it's been so nice to just have just a tight team that's all just really invested in the book.
Now, and Steven, you say he designed the whole package, but I know you guys had some pretty specific ideas about what look you were going for. What was kind of the influence for that?
Yeah, I think we both agreed that we wanted a really clean, modern, or almost retro-futuristic look to it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, to be honest, I guess we didn't really talk too much about it. I guess I just knew Fiona's stuff, and I was like, this is going to be awesome, so just let Fiona be Fiona. And but I have, just terrible visual sense, can't draw to save my life, so I'm happy to just turn things over to you.
Well, Brian, you had the idea of having a sans serif logo.
I have a lot of font specifics, so I don't know anything about visuals, but I like fonts. So.
Yeah, and I really wanted to have our covers just be solid colored backgrounds, kind of punchy.
Yeah, I think just so many covers are really busy. I like how sort of restrained and lovely these are.
Yeah, so I think we were just on the same page with the aesthetic we were going for.
Definitely.
And we'll start with you, Fiona, and we'll go to you, but also just in terms of just kind of overall influence on your approach. Where does that come from? And
what are we ripping off? Is that what you're asking?
I've been really inspired by animation for this book. I was trying to think of something starting out. I wanted to change up my style. My previous work has mostly been pretty muted colors and sort of scratchy line work, and it just didn't feel rich enough to tell an epic story like this. I wanted to do something with the artwork where I could really dig into the backgrounds on certain pages, use all the colors instead of 3. painted backgrounds with almost flat, cel-shaded characters over top. I briefly considered doing like a fully painted book, but that didn't seem practical. And I also feel that sometimes when books are fully painted, they can look a little static. Like you lose some of the movement in the figures.
Yeah, no, I think the interiors they're incredible.
So yeah, basically I just wanted to do something where it would look lively and fresh and be able to communicate the figures' expressions and body language really clearly, but also be able to render the backgrounds sort of as much or as little as was called for.
How about you, Brian?
Influences, you mean? Or?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think it's always my life, whatever's going on. So there's my kids, are sort of a big part of this. And like I said, all the children's books I've been reading. But, I mean, mine, instead of Star Wars is sort of what we live in the shadow of anytime you're doing a big sort of fantasy sci-fi epic. But I love Star Wars. And, I think every fan who loves Star Wars, instead of complaining about how much they don't like the prequels or whatever, would just make another Star Wars, do what Lucas did when he's like, I would, for loving Flash Gordon, whatever, I would make my own thing. So, Star Wars is an influence in that, and I really wanted to do something wholly original like Lucas did, something that's, entirely my own. So I think this is a very different kind of story from Star Wars, but that's definitely, it's part of its DNA.
Yeah, it's funny because you said a bunch of times it's like Star Wars for adults. And I was actually around when Star Wars came out in 1977, and I went and saw it like 26 times in theaters. But the reason I liked that so much was because it was so different from everything else. It's like I love comics and I love sci-fi movies, and Star Wars was just completely different. I think it's kind of harder for like younger people to understand how different it was at the time. But that's the cool thing about Saga is when I was reading the first issue, it is completely different from any other sci-fi or fantasy comic I've ever read, and it's kind of amazing.
Thank you. Well, I would say that way. I remember exactly where I was as a kid when I saw the Silver Surfer for the first time. I was like, what the fuck? That bald silver guy riding a surfboard through outer space? Like, it was just so aggressively new. And, I love comics and I love all these existing characters that I grew up loving, but I wanted to do something where I felt like every page you kind of can't believe what it is you're seeing. And hopefully it's also good, because I don't want to just be different or new for newness sake, but it's definitely part of the appeal.
It's one of the things that's actually cool too is there's stuff that's completely far out in there mixed with things that are kind of mundane that seem strange as a result.
Yeah, and I can't imagine anyone else will be interested in this kind of thing. Whenever I was like for Ex Machina, I like that balance of, some jetpacks and then sometimes just people sitting around a room arguing about apocalypse or whatever. So it will be very similar.
How about we let some folks in the audience ask some questions?
Absolutely.
There's a microphone right there in the middle of the room, so raise your hand and we'll...
Will there be a clone of your Braille appearing in Saga?
No, there's no crossovers to other books. Last Man is done. But there's, sometimes when I'm writing Mark on a lot of the two leads, it is the most fun I've had since Yorick and 355. I think it's very different because these guys are in a committed, loving relationship, and Yorick and 355, only ever sort of platonic friends. And it's nice to have an opportunity to write about a married couple and to have that still be dramatic. So, anyway, so I know Yorick, but other good stuff.